So this is video 3 for Unit 11. This is looking at social influence, and this is the second part. This is looking specifically at how a group can influence you. So a couple terms you need to know when we walk out of here. Groups can impact one behavior in a variety of ways. We're going to talk about social loafing, social facilitation, de-individuation, groupthink, group polarization, and how culture can influence you. So one topic is known as social facilitation. Social facilitation is the tendency to improve performance of tasks in the presence of others. So a group can influence your behavior. When there's others around you, it often increases and improves your performance. This is the tendency because of a heightened sense of awareness. An example could be that teachers are watching you, so then all of a sudden you start to perform better. At sporting events, the athlete might perform better because he is being watched or she is being watched. And oftentimes when you're driving a car and there's a car next to you, you may start driving a little faster to encourage a little competition. So here you have somebody working out, a cyclist working out, and oftentimes when somebody is next to you, you want to perform better than that individual. Social loafing. Social loafing is another group influence. It is the tendency for people in a group to exert less effort when pooling their efforts towards a common goal. So when you're working together towards a common goal, sometimes an individual may be a social loafer. For example, in the classroom, when we're all trying to come towards the common goal of answering the question I set forth, sometimes we wait for others in the class to answer it. You become what is known as a social loafer. In tug of war, we have an example of people who become social loafers here. There, you have the 4 people in the middle really trying towards winning, and you have the 2 social loafers at either end. Group projects, we oftentimes have a social loafer. De-individualization is your loss of self-awareness or self-restraint occurring in a group situation that foster action and anonymity. Oftentimes when you're part of a group, you start losing your identity, which could cause you to do other actions, and you're less restrained in this situation. I oftentimes think of Junior Olympics. During Junior Olympics, I see people in the stands and they're acting out and acting as if they normally don't act in a class because they're part of this group. During Halloween, you take on a different role and you may start acting as if not yourself. Think about people who are in riots. They start acting out and are less restrained because they're part of this group. This is known as de-individualization. 2 concepts that a lot of students get confused is groupthink and group polarization. So the first one is groupthink. Groupthink is the mode of thinking that occurs when the desire for harmony in a decision-making group overrides a realistic view of alternatives. So you don't really agree with what's occurring in the group, but instead of causing conflict, you just end up going along with the group. Factors that promote groupthink is isolation of group members. You want a high group cohesiveness. You have directive leadership that kind of enforces it. It sometimes lacks norms. The homogeneous of members and the social background, and the high stress from external threats that could cause you to not want to be alone. So it is a cultural phenomenon whereby group self-reflection is discouraged to preserve the group identity and unity. So you may not agree with what your friends are doing, but sometimes you just go along with it because you don't want to be left out. Group polarization is the other extreme. When members of a group have similar, though not identical views about a topic, they begin to discuss these topics and their opinions become more and more extreme and pronounced. So if you were in a class and you start talking about how you love a movie and someone in the class also starts talking about how they like a movie, you become more and more excited about this movie and you share the love for it and your ideas get stronger and stronger. If you were in a class and you stated that smoking is bad and somebody else started talking about how smoking kills, your ideas now become strengthened because you are together. And now all of a sudden you may start stating that we all want to ban smoking. The last thing is how culture can influence us. Culture is obviously a group influence. It is behaviors, ideas, attitudes, values, and traditions all shared by a group of people transmitted from one generation to the next. Oftentimes there's norms within a culture, rules that are accepted and not accepted. One of the things that a norm we follow in the United States is personal space. It's the buffer zone we as individuals like to have. In the United States and England, we prefer more personal space than in other places around the world. So we have cultural norms, and that also is a group influence. And that is the end of video 3.